morning, dragons. It's Question Tuesday, the day I answer real questions from real dragons. I have two really good ones today from a couple of third graders. The first is from Tommy. He wants to know, is the light in the plasma ball static electricity? Tommy, that is such a good question, and I love that it relates to what we did last week. So, Tommy and my dragon friends, a plasma ball is called that because it's full of plasma. Now, plasma is a highly electrified, very hot gas. Now, only certain gases can be turned into plasma, right? The air we breathe is a gas, but it's not a plasma. But noble gases are special kinds of gases that can be turned into plasma. So that glass ball of a plasma ball is full of those noble gases that can be easily turned into plasma. Now, that rod in the center of a plasma ball, and I'll put a picture up here in just a second, but that rod in the center of a plasma ball is an electrode. Now, I know we haven't really learned about electrodes, and fourth grade hasn't even started electricity yet this year, but an electrode is basically anything that can emit electricity from a central point. Pretty straightforward, right? So that electrode is basically a tiny Tesla coil, basically a tiny electricity machine. It builds up that electricity inside it, and when it builds up enough, it shoots it off through that gas, turning it into a plasma ball. What's really cool about this is that when it hits the glass, usually it just kind of dissipates into the air around it. Air is not a particularly good conductor of electricity. That means that it's kind of hard for electricity to get through air sometimes. But you are a really good conductor of electricity. So when you touch the edge of the plasma ball, that becomes the path of least resistance, the easiest way for that electricity to go, and it's going to take it every time. That's why when you touch a plasma ball, that electricity goes straight from that electrode to your finger every single time. Kind of cool, huh? Well, thanks for asking that, Tommy. That was a really good question. Now, Piper's got a really good question as well. She wants to know why glow-in-the-dark objects glow. Piper, that is such a good question. You would think, since it's light, it has to do with electricity or fire or something like that, but it's actually a totally different kind of light. And it's one we get in nature without having to build anything. It's called phosphorescence. If you've ever seen mushrooms that glow in the dark or some kinds of animals that glow in the dark, they're phosphorescent. That means they have something in them called a phosphor. Okay, now a phosphor is something that stores up energy and emits it slowly as light. So when we have our glow-in-the-dark objects, or indeed glow-in-the-dark mushrooms or fish or all kinds of animals and plants, they store up that light energy inside them. And they are actually emitting that light all the time. At the same time they're absorbing it, they're slowly emitting it. But when we turn off the lights, we start to be able to see it. Because it's not particularly bright, you may have noticed. You can't really read by the glow-in-the-dark stars on your ceiling. But it is pretty cool, isn't it? Thanks for asking that question, Piper. And thanks to all the dragons who submitted questions this week. I got some really good ones, and I can't wait to see what you guys come up with for next week. See you in class, dragons!